With artificial intelligence's nearly limitless potential in fields as varied as medicine, consumer technology, finance, and medicine, there are also concerns that AI will soon take over or eliminate human jobs. Well, over on college campuses, there's one new phone app that's geared to help students, and it's definitely competing with human tutors and guidance counselors. Here with me now to talk about this new app, Study Tree, and the potential of AI in education is company CEO Ethan Keiser. Ethan, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
So let's start with your app, Study Tree, that is geared clearly more toward, we could say, a younger generation, perhaps. What about the older critics who think this might replace traditional academic advisors? Can you tell us a little bit about how Study Tree works, and should tutors and counselors really be worried?
No, actually, they should not be worried. Our technology, our artificial coach, is geared towards supporting students that generally did not have resources available to them. Most institutions have support networks advising, coaching on staff to support students, but sometimes students need extra help a bit more on demand. So we built an artificial coach to kind of monitor their progress and support them where they need it most. So it's definitely not a competition with any existing jobs at the institution, and we haven't seen any displacement at all.
Does this technology, this AI, do they speak to the students? How does it actually work?
Yeah, we work with institutions directly. We tie into their systems. We monitor student performance. And mostly our users are freshmen and sophomores, a lot of minority students actually, who don't have these support networks already. Our technology will actually talk to them through a mobile app, and they can speak to it back or they can message it back, and we'll actually help them connect with resources on campus, help them connect with study groups. If the student falls behind in a class, it'll reach out to them and support them. And through this kind of coaching methodology, we've been able to support thousands of students without having the university the burden of hiring many more coaches. So it's a way to scale academic support services at an institution for all students.
Now, is this offered through, you said you had some institutions that are signed up with it, to both, or are students able to access it even if the institution isn't signed up?
No, so we work directly with the universities. We partner with them. It is a partnership. We have access to their data, so we only are available to it's the students who have worked with us directly. So it's strictly working with the institution. Their students have access to our technology.
Now, just like any new app that we look to innovate fields like banking and healthcare, now there's a big data privacy concern. Almost every week we see headlines of a new hack or user data leak. Has this been a major roadblock for you, and how are you dealing with these issues to prevent things like this from happening?
I wouldn't call it a roadblock, but it's definitely a concern. We work, like I said, directly with the institutions, and we take this some pretty strong measures to make sure everything's in place. We haven't had any security issues. It is definitely a top concern in the education industry, and what data should third-party providers have access to. We just have a very great relationship with all of our partnered institutions. We follow the security protocols that has been set out, and following this, we haven't had any issues so far, and we don't plan to have any issues in the future.
Hopefully not. At least you're prepared for them. Now, looking at the bigger education picture, let's talk a little bit about student loan debt. Now, the Federal Reserve recently reported nearly 50 million Americans owe $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. Now, that's $521 billion more than total U.S. credit card debt. Now, working in the education industry, do you think people are ignoring or underestimating how big of a crisis we're facing with these student loan bubble?
Well, if you actually look at how this debt is accumulated, 50% of college students aren't graduating in 6 years. And if you actually drop out of a university, you're actually much more likely to default on your student loans because you didn't get the job or the degree that you desired. You don't get that career boost. So yes, there's an issue with student debt, but it's mostly around completion and graduation. If students complete their degree, they're much more likely to pay off their debt. So we should be focusing on getting students to college to graduation. That's where we put our time, and that's the most effective way of actually eliminating this debt.
Well, I'm glad to have people like you coming up with these to keep people and students in college to finish the degree that they are indebted to. CEO of Study Tree, Ethan Keiser, thank you so much for being with me today.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.